So I'd like to talk a little bit about what we're doing, and we've been doing this for over 10 years now, trying to disrupt the textile industry. So digital dyeing is orders of magnitude greater than digital textile printing, so this is a massive market. The challenges are orders of magnitude greater than digital textile printing as well. And I literally don't really know what to say today after yesterday. A couple of things are important. There's not a brand in sight to help us. 2 years ago, I came and said we're cooperating with brands, and all they've done ever since in the last 2 years is delay, and they've been waiting for the general election. I'm not talking about Ed Miliband's green energy eating a bacon sandwich election. I'm talking about the one that happened in the USA. And they've been let off the hook. Where we are today is interesting, and that also worsened yesterday or day before, whenever it was. So today, in 2024, got to be conscious of the time, keeping to 1.5 was a hope. It's not going to happen. 2024, by the time we get to the end, we will be above 1.5 degrees rise in terms of pre-industrial revolution temperatures. The current predictions, depending on whether you want to be dramatic or whatever it is, it's somewhere between 2 and 3 degrees by the end of this year, by the end of this century. So people who are going to be born in the next few years are really not going to live in Europe. They're not going to be able to live in the UK or Europe. And so that's a bit dramatic, but I think it's true. So 2.6 degrees is the latest. We got many solutions to deal with this, but we're all slow to act. And if you don't mind me asking a hypocritically riddled question, who is buying, and so here's the hypocrisy, who's buying clothes with a design, with a brand in mind? Yeah, okay. Well, many of you are being very self-righteous, so congratulations. That's very impressive. Here's the problem. Mother Nature has a climate delay to anything we do. So it takes 150 years to stabilize the changes we are creating, the problems we are creating. And that's why I say children that are born in the next few years will see a very, very serious impact to their life if they survive. And so 3 degrees means most of the planet becomes uninhabitable. That's not my word, that's what everybody reckons, and that's where we're heading. So, and the problem is we haven't got 150 years to bring about these changes. We've really got to act now. And honestly, it's not a question of how much whiskey I've been drinking or red wine, although that's quite a lot on occasions. Maybe we should seriously start thinking, those that are old enough to remember the sci-fi films of 10, 15 years ago when we started talking about living in cities that have climate-controlled atmospheres. Maybe this is the only solution if we carry on the way we are. And you know, in the Middle East, this is starting to happen. They're starting to design and build cities with straight roads between the cities like this. So maybe that's where we should be putting all our energy. So the big industrial polluters are the real problems. It's not compost and recycling and all that stuff. It's what we're doing in food and agriculture. It's what we're doing in fossil fuel and coal burning, cementing construction, and finally where we are, textiles. Textiles has a massive contribution to emissions, 10% global emissions currently, heading to 25% global emissions by 2050. Okay, so that's equivalent to the whole of Europe's emissions. The textile industry will be responsible for 1.5 trillion litres of water used annually, when you think that by 2030 the demand will be 40% greater than supply. So we sort of got our heads in the sands, a little bit. We all have. We're not really bringing those people to account. Problem with textiles, it's one of the wealthiest industries you'd ever come across. So, you know, it's the fabric of civilization, and, you know, it's West-centric in terms of the wealth, so people want to show off, people want to represent their wealth through textiles, brands, designs, all of those good things. So this is what we're up against, and it's always been the case since the emperor's new clothes and all of that. But the dyeing industry is dire. It is dreadful. And so we got a real risk of Mother Nature threatening this fabric of wealth, and people are beginning to twig that. This is where we are with emissions in the textile industry. So we're just here. We've talked about a lot of things over these years, but we're just here before it exponentially goes up. So what we're trying to do is save 2.5 gigatons before 2050. That's our company objective. And really, this is the issue. So we're all buying 26 kilos of new clothes, contributing to pollution, emissions, and wastewater a year. In the USA, it's a little bigger. The brands are saying this is what they're planning to do by 2030, reduce emissions, reduce fresh water usage, and that's great, except there's no consequence if they miss their target, and yesterday they were let off the hook. There is no reason why any of these brands need to do this, apart from the two factors that drive mankind, which are greed and fear. So the only reason they're doing this is fear. Fear of the younger generation not tolerating this anymore. So that's all we can hope for now, the younger generation to really put pressure on this to make things change. So switching to what we're trying to do in this area, we started in 2014. I actually thought it would take 3 years and I'd be done. And now it only just feels like I'm just starting. So we came to Cambridge and set up our operation. And this is our history of development. So here we are. You can just about see I had some hair in 2014. Not a great deal, but some. And this is how we started. This was our very first experiment of our digital technology to demonstrate it, and that was here. And it's taken this amount of time to get to a TRL9 production-ready technology that is now in production and operating in Taiwan. So what we're doing is that we have a 1.8 meter print bar that is producing 1.2 billion digitally defined drops per linear fabric meter. So we're actually digitally dispensing 270 million 10 micron drops per second. And that's how we're able to achieve the color uniformity that's very demanding in the textile industry and everything else. So we sit between inkjet and spray. Spray is essentially too crude. Inkjet is too sophisticated and too expensive. Inkjet will, you're an inkjet audience, I will make the claim, inkjet will never get into digital dyeing. So if you really want to get into digital dyeing, you need to come and see us, because inkjet will never get there. is just impossible. The drops are too small. It's like throwing feathers at the surface, whereas we're throwing cannonballs at the surface and able to penetrate every fabric. God, time flies, doesn't it? So here's our proposition: reduction in energy, reduction in wastewater, some big numbers, all validated LCA data, proven. 85% reduction in energy, 95% reduction in wastewater, reduction in toxic chemistry, reduction in emissions, and return on investment. So we have what we believe is a very powerful sustainability proposition that is just simply falling on deaf ears with brands. And we're now going alone. In Taiwan, we have a production facility, our own dye house, selling our own fabric coloration, setting up in Portugal next year, setting up in Brazil, setting up in India and Bangladesh through help local partners, but generally not relying on brands. We're also yarn dyeing at 100 meters a minute. So we're using the same technology to put pigment-based inks, dye, fluid with color in, at 100 meters a minute onto yarns. And we're also now dyeing waistbands. So these are the sort of things that keep our clothing up when they want to fall down. And so that's our proposition. And our sustainability credentials, now proven, are pretty impressive. 95% reduction in wastewater, 85% reduction in energy, 30% reduction in chemistry. However, none of this sells a machine, none of this sells a solution, none of this works. And the only thing we're doing in terms of selling our machines now is to say, we're reducing your energy costs, we're saving you your OPEX by 50%, and your return on investment is less than 18 months. So I'm going to go out and buy a 6-litre car because this is the only thing that counts. Sustainability, doing things for the environment, really. You're pushing rope uphill, but I'm not serious. So that's our little story in probably just over 15 minutes. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Great.